Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good? Good. Awesome. My name is Sunil Ryan. I lead Google Cloud for Games team here at Google, and it's an honor for me to be here today. As you can imagine and see, Google has announced some really big things this week. So I'm sure many of you attended Mobile Developer Day on Monday, and if you haven't, you should definitely check out the Tuesday keynote. We announced a big platform called Stadia. And today, for the first time, we actually have an entire day dedicated to Google Cloud developers. And we've got a fantastic lineup of speakers, both subject matter experts from Google, but more importantly, customers and partners that are going to talk about how Google Cloud is helping power their games. But before we get into the detail, I want to take a step back and talk a little bit about the trends that we're seeing and how it affects our approach in Google Cloud. You all know there has been an amazing explosion of players globally, about 2 billion, which means there's huge opportunity and the industry is growing at a tremendous rate. And this is all thanks to people like you who are, with your creativity, are building fantastic games. So that's one. So we're dealing with massive scale. Second, it's just not about players, right? The business of games took about 35 years to get to $35 billion in revenue, but then in the subsequent 12 years, or 11 years, we've added another 100 billion annually. So it's not just there are lots of players, there's a lot of money in this market, and it's kind of becoming the biggest entertainment industry out there. So that's number two, because we're seeing ways for people to monetize. Number three, what we're also seeing is with the democratization of devices, you have to reach a player base that is of different sizes and shapes and different screen sizes. And what people are starting to see is with 5G coming and low latency in different areas, AAA games or mobile games are thinking that people are going to be platform agnostic. So you need to start building for different sizes and shapes, and some of these things that we talked about even in yesterday's keynote on Stadia that you can play across different devices. Lastly, as a trend that we're also seeing is a game is just not a game anymore. It's becoming an ecosystem. You have successful games that have more developers creating content, we have social connections, and things can explode from day one. So it's really hard to forecast what's going to happen and prepare for it. And the second thing is, as a result, games' lifetime is becoming longer and longer because you have ways to update content. So the new normal pretty much right now is you need to constantly develop and iterate, and that's the new normal for building games. So these are the trends that we took into account and said, okay, how does that affect what the Google Cloud game strategy should be and how we can help developers? And after talking to a lot of you, we also heard there are four things that we need, taking the trends into account and what we heard from you. One, you want scale from day one if you want to be successful. You don't want any obstacles when you launch your game to say, oops, I couldn't scale, so I'm not going to be successful. So that's one. Number two, with all the different devices and with the different platforms, you want flexibility. So you can build once and deploy it in as many places as you want. Number three, you also said, I want less operational overhead. And I just want to focus on building good games. And lastly, given, you never know what you can expect in terms of players, you want better ability to predict outcomes, you want better ability to forecast where players are coming from, et cetera. So predictability is becoming a core need for a lot of game developers as well. So we took this into account and said, what does Google Cloud for Games actually stand for? So one, you will hear a lot about this from us throughout the rest of the day. One, we want to enable cross-platform services and solutions. Number two, we are committed to open source. You will see in subsequent sessions that we'll talk a little bit more about how we are partnering with the industry to push the thought leadership forward. And we want to give developers choice. Number three, Google has been used to having lots of data and building analytics, predictive algorithms. Machine learning is becoming core. So you will see a lot of machine learning services from Google. And lastly, if you haven't seen the commitment, I would say for the first time we have the number of Googlers at GDC is exploding. And that's because we have a commitment for games. And what that results in is we want to bring the best of Google to you across different product areas and different solutions. And you will hear some of that later today as well. Let me dive a little bit into to say this is not just in theory. We actually have top AAA games and mobile games running on Google Cloud. This is just a sample list of games, game titles, as well as partners that we're working with, like Multiplay and Unity and Improbable, that's helping advance what cloud can do for your games. So diving a little bit deeper into our strategy, one of the things that we have committed to is giving developers choice. And a lot of things in Google Cloud, we have this platform called Kubernetes, which is based on containers. And we feel like that's something that gives choice because you can run Kubernetes on Google Cloud, on-premise, on your bare metal, as well as on other clouds. And we're just not committed to this in Google Cloud. We're committed to that in gaming in Google Cloud as well. And some of the examples that we have partnered with the industry to push the thinking on is one, we've got a project, open source project called Agones that we launched about a year ago that you'll hear more of, which automatically helps you scale your game server processes. So you don't have to worry about it, and also gives you a good dashboard of metrics on how servers are scaling up and down. We've also, again, with an industry partner, with Unity, launched OpenMatch, which is a matchmaking service. It's open source. Anybody could take and use it and put in your specific logic in to make matchmaking work. So we're just not saying open source. We are actually doing specific projects that are related to games. It's also not just that we are funding these projects, but we're also making it easy for you to access it. And as of today, you can use Agones with a simple click from the cloud marketplace and embed it into your game. So this is something that is very exciting for us and helps advance Kubernetes and game servers into the industry as well. The next part of our strategy is we want you to get results fast and get more player insights because you want to get, improve the player experience as well as get more insight from your players. And we've partnered with lots of, sorry, I flipped the slide. Can you go back one? We've also partnered with a lot of companies, big companies which have, humongous amounts of data, like 50 petabytes, with people like King and Square Enix to bring more insights about your players and improve the design of your game or improve the monetization of your game. On structure, we also partnered very closely with massive entertainment studios. Go to the next slide, please. To help launch Tom Clancy Division 2. And this is, we have a model where our customer engineers were in the war room to make sure this launch was successful. This actually launched on Friday last week. So this is a little bit of what we've talked about. And lastly, I'll finish on our strategy. We want to bring the best of Google. We want to help the game industry succeed. We want to help developers succeed. And we feel Google Cloud is the glue to those efforts. And with that, we want to work with different Google teams to bring this to life. And on that note, I'm sure you heard about Stadia yesterday. And let me bring up our next speakers who are going to discuss how Stadia and GCP and Google Cloud Platform are actually better together. Micah?
Thank you, Sunil. Good morning. I'm Micah Baker. I'm a product manager for gaming on Google Cloud, and I'm joined by my colleague Pavel, who is a product manager on Stadia. And I'm sure you would love to hear a little bit more about that exciting announcement from yesterday. And so I'm going to hand it over to Pavel to talk a little bit about Stadia, and then I'll talk about how Google Cloud and Stadia work better together.
Thank you. So Stadia was announced yesterday. Who's seen the keynote or has heard a little bit about it? Okay, fair number. So as a quick summary, Stadia is a new kind of platform. It's a cloud-based gaming platform for AAA gaming that is based on streaming. And it is a new platform that lets you build new kinds of games. But we have built it to be intuitive and work with all kinds of games. And so we're very excited about what we can bring to it. And what makes it unique, of course, is that because it is hosted in the cloud and it streams and it can connect to different devices and different endpoints, without having to change the core game experience or how you build it. We're launching in 2019. And the reason this is relevant to this audience specifically for the Google Cloud is that whenever your game is running on Stadia, it's always running in a virtualized environment on a specialized VM that we call an instance. And these instances connect to the endpoints through a stream, through the internet and Wi-Fi and whatever the player is playing on. But the part that is important to remember for here is that the Stadia instances aren't generic GCP virtual machines. They are specialized, and so you will interact with them in the Stadia environment. Now, when players are playing, we take care of those instances. So once you launch your game, when players are playing, we manage all of that, so you don't have to worry about it. But when you're in development and you have your developer instances, then you will be interacting with them in our environment. And this is where some of the power of the GCP can come in, because all of the Stadia infrastructure is running on the same backbone that GCP is running. And so the connection to GCP is very fast and efficient. And to talk a little bit more about that, I'll pass it on to Micah.
Thank you. So now that you understand a little bit of the logistics of Stadia, it's interesting to compare how that fits in with the Google Cloud story. Google Cloud has a unique global private network, which is really fundamental in better value that we're going to talk about here. So you think about all these different connections across the globe, and having a private network really matters when you want to control latency. What does this do to Stadia, for example? So when you work with Google Cloud and Stadia, that private network actually comes in very handy because we can have all the traffic local. The traffic never has to go through the internet, as you may experience through other clouds. What happens if your network traffic gets to stay local, though? What does that bring to your game and to your experience? Really kind of these three main points. Your traffic is never exposed to the internet, so no one can mess with your traffic. The game data is going to be secure. You can count on the performance. It's predictably low latency because it's always on that private network where we can control the quality of service. It's also great value because there's no charge for egressing to the internet from the cloud. So we're really excited about the combination of Stadia and Google Cloud, and we look forward to talking more about this. This was just kind of a little sneak peek into what we're thinking. And next, I'm going to hand it over to Pavel to talk a little bit about what you can do to learn more about Stadia.
Thank you. So just to finish off this, if you would like to work with Stadia, if you have a game idea that you'd like to bring to our platform, then please head over to stadia.dev, and we'd love to hear from you. And we're taking these the applications now, and then we'll be getting back to you throughout the rest of the year. And also come see us at our booths and demos if you actually want to check out some of the tools, how they work. We're in the West Hall for the developer section, and the South Hall has more of the playability sections. And so you can both experience it and see what it will look like to actually build on Stadia. Thank you.